we have a match for you guys. We have... I have absolutely no memory of this place. Could you tell us who the matchup is?
It is the Grillers versus Popcast Enjoyers. So I should probably talk a little bit about these two teams because they know each other pretty darn well. So Dio has coached the Grillers in the past. Dio has Div 2 experience from a good while ago, but he's been on and off a lot lately, and so, doesn't have a steady team or anything right now. He wanted to play with Delta, and then they were able to pick up KO and JPEG on top of that. Grillers I played with for 4 years, so we're going to be seeing Devi on the Hydra, and it's mostly the same core roster that they've had. There's one substitution in that they usually play with Cookie, who is a really top-notch Slayer, and they're swapping him out for Sam here, which a lot, Popgun when he was talking about it was like, oh, but they don't have Cookie. Thing is, Sam plays with Cookie all the time. He plays at his pace. He can do Cookie things if he wants to. He generally sticks towards the midline. We saw him absolutely popping off in the matches that we were watching on stream earlier. So he's absolutely going to be just as much of a slaying threat, I think, as Cookie would be in these circumstances. And then it's just up to, Devi to hold it down on the back line, make all the call-outs, Taku and Jamie to play their roles as the kind of frontline support hybrids that they tend to play as. Trying to play nice and tight, all packed up together, and push out to make room for Devi to take her power positions.
Yeah, we got an interesting battle. We have Hydra versus E-Liter, probably.
Yeah,
that's the two longest range weapons in the game. You don't see either too frequently. E-Liter sometimes. Hydra, there's a few dedicated players, and Devi is one of them.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a challenge for Devi because there are going to be two backline players watching Devi at all times, so she might have to watch different angles. She might have to play a lot more safely. But the advantage that does give the Grillers is that now their front line is freed up to do an awful lot more. Delta is traditionally a support player, and so Dio is basically the only player here who really frontlines. Delta's going to have to try and play up there with him and try and hold things down, or maybe they put JPEG on a mini or a 96 or something to try and have him push up and apply just a little bit more pressure. But it's basically just Dio on the front line. Dio needs to pop off to make any kind of push happen in a lot of these cases, because otherwise KO and JPEG just can't move up. Yeah. And that was, I think, the big kind of comp issue that they were having when we played them. That, like, Dio, mechanically can outplay us a lot. But the thing is, if we 2v1 him every time, best he's going to get is the one-for-one trade, and then they don't have any pushing power. They don't have any aggression moving forward. So it'll be a question of, can the Grillers take advantage of that weakness? Can they push up and get flanks off on the backliners to let Devi do things? Can they take out the front line of Popcast Enjoyers to put them on the back foot the whole time so that their backliners just kind of have to back up because they're outnumbered? If they can do that, I think there is definitely a possibility for the Grillers to win this. It was an upset in the seeding for the Grillers to even be in bronze in the first place. So I think the Grillers have a pretty good shot at it, but Popcast Enjoyers, hot off a Game 5 set, who knows what kind of momentum they're working with. I know Dio's a very momentum-based player. He's very, energized, very psychologically into it. He's going to be yelling on the mics. We're going to hear him through our headsets over here.
It's so fun to hear, everyone.
So this could be a really, really fun set to watch here. And, it's going to be really fun for me because I know everybody. But I think it's going to be entertaining as well for all of you guys at home.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So
I'm seeing everybody loaded into the private battle here, so we should be getting started. We're going to be starting on Rainmaker Snapper. So we've seen this map mode combination already. While we have a little bit more time to think about it, what are your thoughts on this map mode?
Well, I guess something I should say is, I think the map list as a whole, it feels like it favors shorter range weapons significantly more.
Interesting.
We don't see Albacore much. We don't see, Triggerfish. That's a very
that's controversial.
Very contested map mode. But look at these maps. We've got Rainmaker Snapper, which sure, great for Stingray or something, but it's Rainmaker. Mm-hmm. Everyone's got to be super mobile. Clams Humpback, you don't really have a flat open area. It's a very short but long horizontally map. Mako Mart is just a bloodbath. TC Starfish has a giant block if you want to be a sniper. And Rainmaker Sturgeon's also relatively small. So I think that the key to this set is really going to be backlines playing aggressively. There are some very aggressive positions you can take on these maps, like Sturgeon, you can be on the box. Rainmaker Mako, you can take a weird position out of spawn. You can hold far up on their stack. There's a lot of really aggressive positions, and whether or not these backlines take them is going to kind of determine whether or not they're able to get in this situation, I think.
That is something that plays into Devi's corner here. Devi is a really big fan of flanking on the Hydra, of going in and taking those unconventional positions that are aggressive and get things done. She has this map, these sets of maps where she like for coaching other backline players. Well, she'll mark off, okay, here are the traditional offensive positions, here are the traditional defensive positions, and then here are some other ones that I'm just going to pencil in right now.
The ones I flank at.
Here are the ones that they're a little unorthodox, perhaps, but they're fun.
They're the ones that you go into solo, and then you're like, what the heck is this weapon doing? Oh. And then you die.
Right. You're like, oh, someone's flanking. I'm going to go fight that. Oh, I'm peeking a Hydra. They have charge. I'm dead.
Yeah, I mean, again, especially with chargers, backline v backline, it's a lot of a game of surprise, a game of like who pops out from behind the corner first, who catches the other off guard, and that's happening at like a mile apart. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Looks like we're into weapon select now. I'm just glancing over at the backs of the screens of these players, and we've got a bunch of check marks in there. So we're getting pretty close, should be pretty soon. I'm hearing a lot of discussion going on from the Popcast enjoyers here. So it looks like they're still working out the last few little bits of their comp. Or Dio, I'm almost certain, is going to be talking about positioning going in, like where do we want to push to start with. He's a big fan of overwhelming the opponent early by surprise, by just being someplace further ahead than their opponents expect them to be at. So I imagine they're going to be coordinating something like that. But here we go, Rainmaker Snapper.
Here we go. Rainmaker Snapper. This map is... it's got the interesting diagonal kind of symmetry here. Here we go. We see JPEG on the mini. I was actually wondering if JPEG was going to pull out the mini because I feel like that's a pretty nice complement to E-Leader. That is a Splatling. And a quick death to the pop. The E-Leader going down earlier. Jamie a little bit in an awkward position, dancing and dodging. The Rainmaker is not able to get away. Devi tries to make a run for it, but Popcast enjoyers just catch them too quickly. And look at this. They're 3 down in this situation. Takara's behind them. If Takara makes a run for it, they can get the pick here, and that's so important. Yep, that 3 downs. They just targeted 2 people who popped missiles directly in front of them.
That was a veteran move there. Great patient shark from Taku, knowing that she had their backs, and they did not know she was there.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to think, early on grabbing the Rainmaker, maybe the Grillers getting off a little bit slowly because they kind of just gifted the Rainmaker over, and the score push is still going despite Taku's play here. One thing I also want to note, the Grillers are actually playing with Stormy here. I forgot Sam had to leave. So they're going to be playing with a sub. Might be a little bit of a difference in coordination here. Great push there from JPEG to get to 36. That might be the end of it. We'll have to see.
I think there's still one by the Rainmaker. They're going to make a run for it. Okay, there we go. Jamie does catch it before anything happens, and that's going to finally be the end of that push.
That'll shut it down.
They just get it barely up that wall, and here we go. The Grillers trying to take it over onto this left side. A very nice spot to start slower pushes. The E-Leader's over there waiting. The Booyah very nicely timed to try and back up the E-Leader. The Rainmaker moves behind that box. Yep, there they go. Very nicely timed. Able to dodge that E-Leader's line of sight. Devi trying to make something happen here with the Rainmaker. There's 3 down on the side of the Popcast enjoyers, and here come the Grillers, bringing it down all the way to 8. A very nicely coordinated push.
Very well played push, and you see Devi's backline chops there as she times that push, knowing here is exactly what we need to do to displace. Oh, Jamie with the backdoor. They don't see him. Can he get up the wall in time? They do. Let's go. Huge pop-offs from the Grillers' side over there. We see Devi hopping over Taku completely to give a high five to Jamie after that one, and rightfully deserved. Fantastic shark. Nobody cleared out that side of the map. And so Jamie was just able to completely sneak it, even didn't have the wall quite painted on the side of the goal and still had time to get all the way up there. You got to watch all of your corners. You got to paint your way out, or else, Rainmaker, something like that can happen.
There's a lot of blind corners on that right side.
But you got to say, even if that hadn't happened, even if Jamie hadn't been in that position, that's such a winning position for the Grillers.
Oh, yeah.
Because then they can just go full defense mode, and they've got a Hydra.
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to push in against a Hydra. So they're going to be able to set up the wall with the 52 gal. That's still a winning position for them. Even if that doesn't happen, you have to think that the Grillers were the favorites going into the second half of that game afterward. So well played from them, and a well-deserved pop-off. Clam Blitz Humpback Pump Track coming up next. I know that we might see a changing comp from Popcast enjoyers there. They were talking to me earlier. Dio was telling me that they are trying to avoid the double backline situation, but they also, JPEG specifically, doesn't feel super comfortable on Mini. It might be that it's just not a weapon that suits their playstyle quite as well. And so we might be seeing, some negotiation there on that front. Like, okay, I'll play this so that you can play this. There might be a little bit of that sort of thing going on here. But what would you like to see from them going into Clam Humpback?
I think that you can actually kind of leverage Humpback's a bit weird, but I think you can leverage the kind of extra backline if you have two of them by trying to push a little bit more towards the right elbow. Just being able to kind of strong arm keep people away with a heavy splatling, you're able to do that, and that can help your team, or it can help push the enemies back towards under the basket where an E-leader could snipe them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, splatling is really, really strong on the enemy window. Like if they're able to get around that corner right there. And so, putting a splatling there and then putting the E-leader in maybe the traditional position right in mid where they're able to get picks off of people on plat, that could be a really strong answer here. Looks like they are sticking with the mini comp here. Double missile.
Custom E-leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beacons. We love to see that. Beacon bubble. Interesting weapon. We don't see it all too much, but I think that's a very interesting comp for that weapon. Already, quick start here. Popcast enjoyers go up one member here as they try and get something started here in mid. The clams are really spread out. They don't have anything quite just yet, so they're going to have to take it slow. But Devi being devilish on that flank over there, already getting one member not called out on that flank, gets JPEG, potentially gets KO. No, KO is able to back off just in time, but Devi leads her entire team back into mid, and that's a really great flank.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt a little bit scattershot from the Popcast enjoyers there, just because we saw a missile go off before they had enough clams to make a power. They were all in different directions, so Devi kind of swooping in there and cleaning a few up. Not especially surprising given the circumstances. We got a Booyah Bomb coming out from Stormy onto Plat. What can they do with this? They're trying to push so hard onto Plat, but they've got 3 people in front of them with armor.
This is a really good spot, actually. I mean, just look at the number of people. Stormy has eyes on who have eyes on Stormy. Stormy, anyways, I was going to say, just great keeping attention, even if they didn't kill him. But they killed him anyways. And here comes a big push from the Grillers, bringing the score all the way down to 26, and it just continues to go. Look at Devi over on that left side. They can't drop for fear of getting picked by Devi. Those 2 picks are huge. Here comes Stormy with the final clams to knock it out, and that is going to be a quick knockout. Grillers looking dominant.
0 to 100 just like that. It was so unfortunate seeing 2 members of Popcast enjoyers. I think they just both dropped down onto a single bomb. And that double bomb, that's going to be it then and there with so many people underneath the basket with clams coming in. That's just, oh man, that was curtains at that point. Can we talk about how Stormy just won a 1v3?
Yeah.
Like,
you saw the splash wall. They were all backed into the corner, and they threw the wall. And, you're like, what do I do against that? And the only thing you really can do is back up towards that corner. So that was just a really good play to drop a wall.
They all had armor, but Stormy stalled out the armor and then got the 2-shot on the one player, stayed on the inside ambiguously of the splash wall so that it was hard to tell when they could be hit. They dodge off to the right, take cover. That was so nice. Really cool to see from that member of Persistence there. So, what do Popcast enjoyers have to do at this point? Like, we've seen that they're getting caught off guard by Devi's flanks here a lot. Stormy's having some really strong aggression. Like, what do they got to do? Do you think they have something in their comp they can change up, or do they just have to kind of clean up their pushes?
I think something they can do is kind of work on. So I think they're like, they see the Hydra and they're like, we need something to deal with that, and so they went double missile. in that situation, but I don't think that's necessarily what the problem with the comp is, if there is one. I think a lot of the time there's just not many people to kind of contest like that middle range, and it feels like because of that, Devi is able to like. They're not able to give KO enough time with the E-Later to like snipe Devi, so they basically just need to play weapons that are better at kind of stalling mid-rangey fights. So something K52 is really good at. Shot's pretty good at it as well. Mini's decent at it, not quite as good. Junior, I think, is very good at it. Those bombs are going to be very good at that mid-range. And yeah, here we go. Zones on Mako Mart already. Yet again, Popcast Enjoyers off to a pretty quick start here. Dio nicely timing that, using that armor on that right side, able to get 2 quick picks. And here we go. KO set up on that stack. Something's getting started here.
If the Popcast Enjoyers are going to get back into this set, it's going to look something like this. Dio with some great picks on the right-hand side, getting right up into their base, finding out Stormy, and the armor goes off super early for the Grillers at this point to try and help with the fight. Let's see if they can contest zone with it in time. Oh, KO running into a bomb. That's so huge, and it was on zone as well. So the Grillers going to have a good situation going, but they don't have cap yet. So that'll at least buy them some time.
Yeah, here we go. Delta trying to get out. They are able to get out in time. KO's over here. This is a little bit suspicious. They've got a K52 looking, eyeing him up right there. Yeah, you see it. Stormy wanted it, and Stormy got it. Here's Dio on the flank. Devi doesn't know they're there. This can be really big. They get the pick on Devi. Dio needs to stay alive at this situation. They're able to get a very clutch pick. And that bomb! The bomb and the extra hits from them. Able to get a very clutch triple. That flank did everything for them. Great play, and that's going to give Popcast Enjoyers another chance to hold here.
Maybe that is the way they just get back into this game. Dio clutches up and does everything on the front line, because that is what he has been doing so far for the Popcast Enjoyers. Now they've got KO all the way up on right stacks. Really powerful position for them. They can see a lot from there. And the Grillers having a little bit of trouble pushing in. They do get KO, though. And the armor goes out from Popcast Enjoyers. Can they take advantage of this? Ooh, Taku with some great shots there. Really scrappy in mid. Grillers ending up with the zone for the time being.
Yeah, look at this situation. Stormy just has to drop a wall, and that's all they need to do to kind of like, you know, win the zone. You can kind of see how Popcast Enjoyers is having a bit of a hard time like when that thing comes out. So here we go. Devi up on that right side. Because the Hydra's hiding behind the stack, there isn't any like immediate pressure. So they can kind of take their time going back in. The rain and a couple quick picks, I think that was from KO getting some snipes there, is going to give Popcast Enjoyers back the zone. Really, with that Hydra Splatling, the key is just give them their space. You have an E-Leader, which outranges it. Take your time, position well, and take back the zone. Look at them swarming over on that left side. Dio and Delta able to clear it out, and the timer's ticking down. The penalty is gone.
Dio and Delta working so well together in this game. Delta's putting a bomb everywhere that he needs to help Dio out, and Dio is absolutely cleaning up.
Jamie got 2 bombs with the Junior and able to sneak in behind exactly the same place Dio flanked earlier. And that's actually really clutch as well. And it's going to give Grillers a chance to set up this hold here yet again.
Yeah, well, just lots of bomb spam here. Seems to be working for both teams. So we'll see if we can clean that. I was so scared for KO for a second, but he lived. Dio gets a pick and goes in with the armor. They do need to get the cap here to maintain the lead, but they do manage to do that and get 3 in the meantime. 18 KA on Dio already. We still have a minute and a half left. Dio is absolutely popping off.
Okay, bye, Devi.
Bye, Devi.
Yeah, I was wondering where they were or what was going on there. They're unfortunately caught out of position here. Stormy trying to avenge Jamie over there is able to do that. The 52 is able to stay alive and drop over there. But they're trying to stay alive. KO is just kind of staring at them. That Booyah is actually really well placed, but yeah, too many people focused on them at one point. They're unable to get in. Devi here over on that left side trying to make something happen, get a pick on that stack potentially. They need to paint the zone because this timer is about to continue ticking down to 5. They don't have enough pressure on the zone to do it, and Popcast Enjoyers is on the board.
Yeah, well played from them. That was textbook. They'd get picks, they'd pop armor, they'd go in and clean up the entire map. They made it really hard for the Grillers to push back in. They were handling the 52 really well. They were able to isolate it before the Grillers would get in to support it. And Dio
dropping 21 in that case. We saw the 20 bomb last set. We see another one now. That's crazy. Big plays coming from big flanks mostly in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Hydra guns you down as soon as they see you, so the key, I guess, is to just not be seen.
Yeah, they're already behind you. Teleports behind you. Nothing personal.
Nothing personnel, kid.
Tower control, Starfish main stage coming up. We're going to see Devi flank wing. I'm calling it right now. Devi loves to flank.
Yeah, that's classic.
So it's so common that Devi does it. I have a feeling Popcast enjoyers might even have a read on that play and want to do some counterplay to it. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah. But, I think, counterplay could be, the far left side of the spawn. Chargers sometimes go for like third checkpoint. That's a good spot for E-Leader to be potentially at the start of the game. You can drop down into mid if you need to, and it keeps that left side in check.
Right. You see a lot of E-Leaders also liking to go to like lights.
Yes.
So that they can get the view of maybe, snipe
the
Hydra before it even
snipe.
gets close enough. So there's some options for that. Let's see which ones they choose to go with or how this plays out.
Starfish, main stage, tower control.
Is that V-Hydra? I think Devi's playing V-Hydra.
Let's find out. That is a V-Hydra. Yep. We have Splashdown.
If she was going to pull it out anytime, it was going to be on tower control, and here we are. So Devi is a big proponent of this weapon, and part of the reason she's playing this is just to prove Popgun wrong for dissing it last night.
Of course, we love Spite. Anyways, Spite is a valid weapon or a valid reason to play any weapon in the game.
Absolutely.
We see Dio trying to kind of shark up there, be very sneaky. Yep, try and catch members of Grillers as they push up a little bit aggressively here. JPEG, very nice on that mini splatling. Unfortunately, they're going to be the last one alive, but it is only a 2v1 situation, so if JPEG's able to stay alive, get those missiles going in a second, they could help their team get back in over on this first checkpoint, which is what they're going to try to do, but it doesn't look like they're going to succeed. Grillers is overwhelming them.
Really well played on the right-hand side there. That's one of the places that you need to defend if you're going to defend first checkpoint. You need to defend their choke, and Stormy was already there, knew their position right away. Playing super well, super fast. This Booyah is going to push them back. They might just get second checkpoint for free here.
Oh, there's that splashdown on the Hydra that you mentioned. Very nice for kind of staying alive in that situation, painting up a bit. We kind of saw the Booyah come out to try and take care of that left side. It stalled them a bit, but and they actually were able to get that checkpoint. I didn't even see. Very nice. That's a difficult checkpoint to get. Devi, okay, unfortunately not going to get out of this situation. A little bit cheeky on that flank potentially. JPEG is going to come over on that right side instead.
Oh, Stormy with a clutch pick on Dio, and if Delta can't clean this up, then Stormy just gets that for free, and that's the numbers advantage equalized.
Oh, but it looks like they're going to try and ignore them and move forward. And this is a little bit awkward. Yeah. Oh, they are aware. Look at that.
The entire Grillers team is flanking.
They all turned around. Thankfully, they kept an eye on it and they took care of that flank. KO is the last one alive, but the tower is going to continue rolling. 52. Decent push to start here. They were able to get some points on the board, but unfortunately not quite enough. They do break that first checkpoint, which is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is definitely progress. You have to look at that as Popcast enjoyers and say, okay, we did our job that time. Now we just got to do it a second time. Oh. Nice clutch shred there from JPEG on the Booyah Bomb. That is going to stop a lot of forward pressure from the Grillers, and they're just going to have to back up a little bit. They're probably going to try and give jumps and try and keep the push going.
Yeah, here we go. The missiles come back into mid, and that's going to separate the Grillers there. Jamie actually coming on the aggressive there, which I don't think anyone was expecting. They trade picks here. KO staying alive, Dio staying alive, and where's the Hydra? Let's play Where's the Hydra? Yeah, Dio's keeping a clutch eye out. There they are.
We found
There's the Hydra. Oh! Okay. They tore apart the team a bit there, but they did go down just before the end there. Yeah, that Hydra flank, you could just kind of see them, like, I don't know where they are. Devi making quick work of that. Just that flank brings the entire team of the Grillers back in. They're marching up to that second checkpoint again, down to the third, trying to get something to happen. They're unable to hit E-Leader on tower. It's a little bit awkward that Splashdown Jump's going to come in of the checkpoint, or the tower's going to continue rolling. JPEG finding a hard time getting anyone on the tower, and now the third checkpoint, the Booyah coming in. Dio survives that somehow. The tower's going to roll in, though, and nobody's going to be able to stop that. The Grillers take the set 3-1.
Strong play at the end there from the Grillers. you love to see the aggression coming out of, players like Jamie. The Splattershot Junior is not the weapon you expect to be aggressing, but on this team comp, sometimes they need Jamie to go in and play that aggro position. And the Junior is not necessarily a terrible weapon at doing it. It has a fast fire rate. It has a fast kill time. If it can get in range, it can absolutely do stuff. And it also has that fast movement speed.
Exactly.
That's such a huge benefit to a short-range weapon. So sometimes the Junior can make those plays, and it's so good to see Jamie having the confidence to go in and make those plays, especially in clutch moments like that where the pick really turns the tide of the other team's push. And that was really the catalyst that started off that final push for the Grillers. They had no second checkpoint anymore. They just needed to clear the personnel out of the way, and they did it.
Yeah, splat bombs are so good for, just immediately forcing someone to move. Like other bombs force people to move, but splat bomb's so immediate about it that you can kind of just make things happen and make people move as you wish with Junior. So even though the main weapon's pretty inaccurate, you still can make things happen.
And sometimes, with the splat bomb, it's so fast, a slower weapon might not be able to get out. You might actually just put them in a 100-0 position where they're going to lose.
I think Junior is the weapon that teaches people to stop jumping. Holy cow, stop jumping. If you jump, you stop being able to move nearly as well, on the ground. So Junior rolls a bomb under your feet. Whoops. Some weapons don't have a choice. You're a dynamo. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
but yeah, those splat bombs are really nasty.
Absolutely. So great play from the Grillers there. I'm sure they're going to be happy bringing that one home, especially, against Dio, a coach of theirs, someone that they know and respect. And they've, they're good friends with all of those players that are on that team. So it's all, fun and games, really. We're all just showing up to play Splatoon together. But the Grillers are still going to be really happy with having a win and having that win on stream and having so many clutch moments to show for it.
The game of where's the Hydra is my favorite part.
Where'd they go?
It's oh gosh, there's few things more terrifying than you're like, all right, we cleared them out, but there's only 3 dead, and you're wondering where that last person went. And
check your corners.
Yeah, exactly. It's scary to figure that out.
Absolutely.